Have you noticed how your days feel scattered when you wake up without a clear plan? That small moment, standing there unsure of what to do first, already pulls you into a reactive mode. When you look at it analytically, the problem isn't a lack of effort. It's the absence of a structure that tells your mind where to place its energy. A routine fixes that. It gives you a predictable path so you don't waste mental bandwidth deciding everything from scratch. This steadiness protects you from burnout because your day no longer depends on constant improvisation. You conserve energy instead of leaking it through repeated decision fatigue. There's also the part most people underestimate. You don't need motivation to follow a routine. You need discipline. Motivation comes and goes with your mood, the weather, or how well you slept. Discipline ignores all of that. It gives you a simple rule. Do the task because it's time to do it. When you rely on discipline, your day becomes manageable. You stop chasing inspiration and start building consistency. And consistency is what keeps your routine alive. You might notice how different your mornings feel on the days you get up at a steady, reasonable hour. Your mind settles faster. Your body adjusts quicker. You don't rush into the day already behind. That simple choice gives you a sense of control, and you can feel it in the way you start moving, thinking, and preparing for what's ahead. A predictable wake-up time doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be consistent enough for your brain to know when to switch on. Right after waking, you often reach for your phone out of habit, not intention. And you've probably seen how it pulls you into noise before your mind is even awake. When you skip that first scroll, you give yourself a clean mental slate. You allow your thoughts to settle into the day instead of reacting to messages, notifications, or random content. That small pause helps you build focus early, and it sets the pace for everything that follows. Your body also responds well when you bring in light movement and hydration as soon as you're up. A short stretch, a few slow steps, even a simple shoulder roll wakes up your muscles and clears the heaviness from sleep. A glass of water boosts your energy before you sit down to work. These actions feel small, but they shift your state quickly. You create momentum, and that momentum carries you into your tasks with less resistance. The morning is also when your mind is at its sharpest, so you benefit from tackling your hardest subject first. You cut through confusion faster. You retain information better. And you avoid the mental fatigue that builds later in the day. When you place the toughest work up front, you make the rest of your schedule easier. Your confidence grows because you've handled the challenge early, and the rest of your tasks feel lighter. Tie these pieces together, and your morning becomes a tool you can count on. Each step supports the next, and you give yourself a clear path into a productive day. You step into the afternoon with a clear chance to lift your productivity. And the way you handle this stretch of the day decides how much you actually retain and apply. When you engage in active learning during your classes, you keep your mind alert instead of slipping into passive listening. You ask questions, connect ideas, and challenge yourself to respond. This approach stops you from drifting and keeps your attention locked on what matters. When you treat each class as a session where you participate instead of absorb, you anchor the knowledge instead of letting it slide past you. You also protect your focus by giving your body short resets. A quick meal, something light, and a short power nap work like a reset button. These moments prevent your energy from dipping too low. Instead of pushing through fog, you give yourself the fuel and clarity to continue. You avoid turning the afternoon into a slow decline, and you create a rhythm that works for you. Even a small break can bring your brain back to a sharper state. The afternoon is also the best time to switch into practice-based work. This is when you take concepts and turn them into action. You work on exercises, solve problems, and test your understanding through actual tasks. The hands-on effort strengthens your skills because you're applying what you learned earlier. You create progress you can measure. When you treat this block of time as your execution zone, you close the gap between theory and ability. You might notice how your evenings often slip away without giving you the reset you actually need. When that happens, your mind stays wired, your body stays tense, and tomorrow feels heavier than it should. An evening routine can change that, not by forcing strict rules, but by giving you a space to unwind with intention. You start by letting your body release the pressure it has been holding all day. A light stretch or slow walk is enough. You're not chasing a workout. You're simply allowing movement to loosen the mental noise that's been building in the background. When your muscles soften, your mind follows, and sleep comes easier. Then you shift your attention towards something that lets your thoughts breathe. A small creative moment works well. You might doodle, play with a melody, or write a few lines that have nothing to do with school. This isn't about skill. It's about giving your brain a gentler lane to travel in so it can reset instead of carrying the day's tension forward. Before you close the night, you give yourself a quick check-in. You look over your notes, not to study, but to remind your mind of what matters tomorrow. You outline what needs to happen next, set up anything you can in advance, and clear the uncertainty that usually steals your rest. When you know your plan, your brain doesn't stay awake trying to create one. By the time you finish, you've taken back control of your evening. You've supported your body, cleared your thoughts, and set tomorrow on a smoother path. You end the day grounded, not overwhelmed, and you wake up with far more clarity than you had before. You say you want clarity, yet you go to bed with your mind full and expect yourself to wake up sharp. That won't happen. You need to plan the next day before you sleep. When you decide tomorrow's priorities in advance, you cut out the noise that drains your focus. You free your brain from holding unfinished thoughts. And when you wake up, you already know where to move first. You also can't keep scrolling at night and then wonder why your energy collapses the next morning. Screens keep your mind wired. They delay your ability to rest. When you put them away early, your body slows down naturally. Your sleep becomes deeper. You wake up with fewer dips in motivation because your brain actually got the reset it needed. And yes, you need to stop treating sleep like a luxury. You can't force productivity by sacrificing rest. When you choose sleep over late-night studying, you perform better the next day. Your memory works faster. Your decision-making improves. Pushing through exhaustion only gives you the illusion of effort. Rest gives you actual results. You also need to stop chasing more and start committing to better. Quality over quantity isn't a slogan. It's a strategy. When you focus on doing the task well instead of doing it endlessly, you progress faster. And when you allow yourself to make mistakes without shutting down, you stay adaptable. Every error becomes data, not self-judgment. So here's your closeout. Plan your next day, shut down the screens early, protect your sleep, and work with intention instead of pressure. These habits give you clarity, consistency, and a mind that doesn't burn out. You walk into each day prepared, rested, and sharp enough to handle what matters.